All right, welcome back to A Divine Ethereal Beings. Today, we are officially on episode 15. We were just talking about how exciting that is for us. We have been a little off the record for the couple weeks here in April. There's been so much shifting and changing and integration of energy, so in which we have decided to actually talk about that today. We are going to talk about the topic of New Earth, Old Earth. Not directly all towards that, but showing how a lot of this energy, I guess, this month has been a big part of that, in more of that physical reality on Earth here is now very much integrating. So we are going to talk about all the things, all the shifts, all the changes. I mean, it's been one after another. I'm sure if anybody you have been feeling off your rocker this month, I mean, welcome to the club of change and integration. So we're super stoked to talk about this one though, because we feel it's quite important to try and give some perspectives, try and get some understanding of kind of what has been being put in place right now.
Yeah, it has been intense. You are not alone. Everybody I personally have been definitely on that ride with you. And I know everyone else that I've talked to, it's like whether things are actually happening for change and transition or in your external world, or you're just having the internal stuff going on. Like either way, it's equally intense, it's equally valid. Maybe you're having all of it happening at once. So yeah, just first and foremost, you're not alone.
And you're
And
not crazy.
yes, you're not crazy. And this is a shift not only for us as a civilization on the planet, it's a shift for the planet, and it's a shift for all the other planets as well. So, like, it's not just humans on Earth that are going through this, and it's happening through the realms. Maybe you want to talk on that, Dayna.
Yeah, for sure. So funny because again, we were just talking a little bit before we jumped on here, and I had come to this conclusion the other day finally. I had been even struggling in meditation, and I don't normally struggle in meditation, especially to sit in that quantum field or whatever you want to call it, that kind of space of being full energetic body. And I was really struggling the last little while, and I finally decided to ask my team, what in the world is going on? Because I've never struggled this hard to stay in my energetic body or, get to that place in general. And they finally said to me, well, with all the changes, all the energetic shifts, not just on planet Earth, but within our solar system and parts of our universe, all these things are changing for all of them. So, of course, they're going to go through all the astral planes on this energetic level as well. So, if you've been feeling like your connection's been different, you've been having wild ass dreams, the feeling of like the same thing as what I was having, feeling like you're trying to meditate and just doesn't seem to be quite lining up normally anymore, or how it usually would feel. It's all those things because the astral realms right now are processing so much of this energy and helping all these places let this go. Because, of course, energy's got to move. So it's just unfortunate sometimes when it all chooses to move at once, it will distort even in the astral realms. So, wild dreams seems to be really prevalent too. And like for myself, even wild dreams has been both for both of us. I mean, we've both had some crazy off the charts, weird dreams, wild dreams. Some of them are really funny. But at the same time, like where in the world would that have come from? It just seems so off kilter in a way. And from my own understanding, even with the dreams talking about it right now, they are showing me that as we move through the astral realms while we're sleeping, like we normally naturally do, because it's all distorted, we are picking up bits and pieces of other people's thought processes, energy flows, so that's why some of these really wild dreams that you're just like, what in the world? Where did that come from? Probably actually came from either someone else's process or emotions flying through the realms as well. Because of that distortion, there's not exactly layered fields like there normally is. It's all kind of mix mashing and moving all at once, like a big old vortex is all that they keep showing me. Just everything has got to shift and move until it finally, we get through the end of this month, then it'll start to level out again. But crazy
Yeah.
times.
Well, and I'm kind of receiving this reminder around everything happens in the energetics and in the astral realms before it happens in the physical. The physical is the last manifestation. And so, like, this is also going to impact your relationships with others, with your kids, with your friends, with yourself, with your job, with your home, with food, with exercise, with money, like everything is a relationship. And so it's going to, it'll look unique and yet similar for everybody. So just know, like it's all happening for a reason. Again, you're not alone. You are not crazy. It's not really anything to be scared of. I mean, things are going to get better. They are getting better. You have the ability to assist that by how you perceive it, because again, it starts internally. So, yeah.
Totally. And again, it's like even for myself, I mean, my experience with this definitely probably has been more internal, and Dana's has probably been a little bit more on the external, with situations and relationships and things going on. But for myself, I've been really struggling with the body, and even with how self-aware that I know I am, my gates also, having the loopholes. So finding there's energy coming in from someone else or somebody else's thought process or something like that is actually creeping in on me even on a daily basis, when normally I know that's not usually how I react or sit. And it was actually very interesting for myself because I was actually catching people's fear. So the one day I was catching this fear that I kind of had sent you that in voice note, where I'm like, I think I need to go home. Like I feel like I need to go home and see my family. Like, and it just felt like it was constricting in my chest almost. And I almost like a panicking kind of feeling. And in that moment, I was like, whoa, wait a second, this actually isn't mine, because I know I don't choose to react like this, or I choose to respond in a different way. Usually I'm a much more balanced state. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'd like to go see my family, but it's not like this incessant need of panic. And so that was also interesting as well. And I feel like, as good as some of us are at doing this for ourselves, even we'll have those, we've been having those moments even this last month as well. So if you feel like, there's some fear or something that doesn't normally wouldn't freak you out or make you fearful, but it's also could be coming from either someone in your family or someone close by that you are close to. For me, I know it wasn't coming from any stranger, obviously, because it was about my family. But I also then started to tap in and realize that was actually coming from my family. They're used to having me around more often, and we really haven't seen each other. This has probably been the longest haul since I've seen them, since I moved. So I mean, it was a bit of a struggle though, even for myself to release that, because it's like, okay, I'm trying to release this. I know it's not mine and it doesn't really seem to be going anywhere right now. Like, what the hell? Right? And all of a sudden your brain kind of starts to kick in. You're like, oh my, am I doing something wrong now? And my team, all they just kept saying to me was, Dayna, we just need you to calm down and keep breathing. It will release. It's just taking a little longer right now because the astral realms are full. Like there's just so much moving. Okay, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll give you 10 minutes, because if I don't start to feel better in 10 minutes, I mean, and it was that thing again that was kind of a joke to make myself feel a little bit better too. But it actually did take a little longer than even 10 minutes. I would say it was probably closer to 20. And then I finally started to feel balanced again a little bit more, and knowing that I'm back in my own energetic space. So if anybody has been having those experiences where it's kind of hitting you out of nowhere, you're having this like, what in the world, this isn't normal for me, it's okay, again, you're not crazy. I think a lot of people feel like they've been kind of going crazy lately because of how much has been shifting, but all these shifts are for the good. It's for the better. I mean, there's the reason why we are saying this is called old earth, new earth, because this is what is actually happening. And it's been happening obviously in the realms for a while. I mean, intuitives were even talking about this back in like 2014, 2015, I believe, is really when it started to be spoke of. And Dolores Cannon actually was very well known for this one. She was often talking about all the time the old earth, new earth, and the division that's going to happen in realities. And some people have asked me, they're like, Dayna, is this like a for real thing? Like there's going to be a physical second earth? And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. But it will work like that to an extent in the energetics, right? So as the solar eclipse came in, it was asking for all the lower energy to be processed and moved out. And that was just the door opening. And then we just had the full moon last night, which is again, still asking you to address all the emotions, all the things, right? Anything that's not serving us. Mercury retrograde ends on the 25th, which is tomorrow, finally. So if anybody's technology has been going crazy for the last month, that's also been a part of all this. But this wall, the glass wall is what they call it, is this gap that's happening now between the lower energies and the higher frequencies. So things will start to get easier if you're choosing higher frequencies. Your decision making, the keeping yourself more balanced will become easier too. You're not constantly going to be battling to stay out of the lower frequencies, even if you're with people or have to be around people that are of a lower frequency. So it's like, keep breathing. They just keep saying, keep breathing, everybody. It's almost through. And now it will become easier as you take your next steps forward.
Yeah, and just a few things like breathe and get out in nature. Get sun, get out in nature when you can. Allow yourself to just kind of relax and sink into listen to the birds, like any piece of nature that you can zoom in on and kind of focus and just focus on. Allow that. That's going to be such a good tool. And just as far as like the fear and the emotions, just know like it's all frequencies. So it's not just fear. Like I've been dealing with like major, I don't know, grief and sadness and anger and things like that. And it again, a lot of it hasn't been mine. So, especially if you're a parent who is like in tune and awake as we go through these times, like, especially if you have teenagers, like, you may be helping them to process what they're going through. Um, for me, it's brought up deeper layers and levels of things that I didn't have the space or opportunity to process and address previously, even though I thought I had. And it just happens to be what's happening with one of my children and his karma and the things that he's closing off and going through is bringing that up for me because it's so connected. So it's not just fear, it can be any emotion that's heightened and intense and moving. And yeah, my best tool, because again, meditation has been a challenge. So getting outside in nature and in the sun. And then also I found just like a somatic workout app. And so literally like it's 10, 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes I'm doing every day of super, super gentle breathing and movement. And it's just helping tremendously. So my point is like, you can help yourself and it gets to be easy and it gets to not be super time consuming. It doesn't take much is the point um, to kind of just relax and float with this.
Yeah, you just got to be patient enough to know it's not going to last forever. Like that's part of where I struggle more so is because like I'm so used to being able to just adjust myself faster and I just haven't been able to. My physical body has just been like, girl, I don't know, you got something else that's floating energy, man, but we are 3D. Like we need some time. We need to get things figured out here and you can't continually just assume that it's all just going to be done like what you can do in the mind. And again, that's something I've always struggled with is actually being in a physical body ever since my awakening has happened. Because for me, I'm used to moving so quick through the realms, grabbing things all I need and coming back, boom, done, right? Like, and so for me in the physical body, I struggle a little with that because it's just like, why? I just want to feel better already. Like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. And I've really had to practice letting that part of myself go and just being in the flow of whatever my body is needing in the moment. If that's a nap on the couch for 20 minutes, I just let myself go and do it, because again, we can guilt trip ourselves into saying, well, we have all these things we should be doing and all the stuff. But really, if you don't take the time to even take and acknowledge where you're at, especially in this last month, and I mean, even yet for the next week or so, a lot of people will still be in this integration mode. You got to acknowledge what you need because if not, your body's going to lay you out to do it itself. And that is going to probably freak you out even worse because now you're like, oh my God, I'm sick, been sick for a week and I have all these things that I'm supposed to be doing. Right. So to really acknowledge and just be there with yourself is really important. And they keep bringing back to how I actually listened. The one day I was feeling super ungrounded. I was having a really hard time keeping myself grounded. And it was nice weather, but it was super windy here and it was a little too chilly for me to just go and sit by a tree. So they said, why don't you take your chair, go get your blanket, grab your favorite book, and put on headphones though. And I thought, okay, that's interesting because I usually don't wear headphones outside, right? And they said, we want you to put on this grounding frequency, literally, like it's a grounding frequency. You're gonna put this in, you're gonna read your book. Like you don't have to have it cranked, but you're just gonna sit and enjoy yourself and read for a while. And granted, I probably did it for way longer than what most people would want to, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it, right? Again, it brought me back into, okay, right, I don't have to constantly be moving my body. I can even just sit outside like this in the sun and listen to this grounding frequency and do something I enjoy, which for me is reading. I very much enjoy reading. So again, it's you really got to make sure you're tapping in with yourself and honoring whatever it is that you're needing in that moment. If it's a grand good old cry, let it go. Like let it happen. I had that even creep up on me the one day, and it was so funny because I was not even watching anything sad. It was actually this really cute little video of this dog, and all of a sudden I just all the tears. I'm just like boom, bam, crying. And then I ended up watching this other one, and this it was on like got America's Great Got Talent, I think that's what it's called. And there was this girl singing, and it was like the most amazing thing. It was so inspiring. Boom, tears, like, and I'm not usually like that. It was just like this motion of like letting it go and letting it go and letting it go and letting it go. And I know some people feel like, well, I feel like Dana, that's all we've been doing is letting it go. Like, I don't feel like it's turning into anything different, but it's been so much that everybody's been hanging on to. And we really hit this point now where Mother Earth and in general, the universe is saying, okay, well, you really can't hang on to that anymore. We're at an evolutionary point in on planet Earth, yes, but in your own human consciousness as well, which means you got to let your shit go. You can't continue to hang on to things. It's got to go because there can be no karma in the new world.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending how old you are, you got to consider that it took you X amount of years of operating how you've operated to get to where you are, holding on to it, right? And yes, we are moving through it quickly comparatively, but it doesn't happen overnight. If it took you 40 years to get to where you are, you're not going to heal in a month. Like, you can move through it quickly. I'm not saying it's not possible, but for most people, and it's also not going to take 40 years to heal it, but it is going to take a little time. It is a process. And so just allowing it and going with that flow, like Dayna said, like whatever that looks like, letting the tears come for whatever they're coming for. Don't attach a story to it because you don't have to. Energy is simply, sorry, emotion is energy in motion. And so it just wants to move. And we have a tendency to stop it. And so now like that's not going to be a thing anymore. We're not going to be able to stop that flow. And in relation to like slowing down and doing what you need, you may not be stopped by a physical illness. It could be a flat tire. It could be your car doesn't start momentarily, or your power went off and your alarm turned off. Like the universe can use a multitude of ways to slow you down and get you where you need to be or how you need to be. And the more like resistant or frustrated you are with it, like you're just going to create more of that. And so if you can take a step back and be like, okay, somehow, some way this was meant to be. I might not know how or why or any of information around it, but just move into like acceptance, surrender. It is what it is. Accept what it is and move forward in your day, trusting that it's been for a reason and you don't have to know why and you don't have to have the story with it. And that's probably a great way to continue to operate, especially if you're new on this journey.
Yeah. One
So,
step at a time.
mhm.
One step at a time. They're not going to ask you to deal with every massive part of your shit. But right this last month, it probably has felt like that. It's probably been brought up to your awareness more than one occasion, either on a daily or a weekly for sure, and so I think that's why even in a lot of readings I've done lately, people are just like, I don't know what to do. I just feel like it's constantly being presented. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where my feet are gonna let, all the unknowns. But again, that's usually just because a lot of us are uncomfortable with the unknown. We want to know what is coming. But this is again where a lot of the time I find right now, we're just teaching people how to surrender, how to just go with the flow of it and trust the process. And really, again, bringing back the moments of like, okay, well, when was the last time you actually listened to your gut instinct? How'd that turn out for you? Right? Oh, yeah, it was good. Or I didn't listen and it turned out to be the complete
Or
opposite.
I ate the Subway.
Yeah, the subway, exactly. So, and that's the piece of it is like the more evidence, I can sometimes bring up to somebody or even up for yourself. Like, when was the last time I listened to my gut instinct? Okay, I listened to it. It actually turned out for my highest good. Whether it felt like it in that moment or not, sometimes not always, but by trusting it, you then saw it for what it was and realizing, okay, that was definitely for the best. And then when was the last time you didn't listen to it? And how did that turn out for you too, right? Because the more you can reference back to when you've done it, the more proof your brain will start to grasp on it to say, okay, well, we can surrender this even if we don't know what's going to happen. Because the last time we did and we listened to our gut instinct, it turned out well, and you got to start sometimes in those smaller spaces, especially with how much is flying around and changing right now. It's hard just to get into your own space and your own energy with everything and that we've talked about with the distortion in the realms and everything too. So finding being outside helps with that grounding piece. And if you can ground, that means you'll feel more in your body and more like you're in your own energy. And then from there, go and ask yourself the simple questions that you need to. If you need to learn how to surrender, go back, ask the questions about gut instinct, right? If you're just like, okay, well, I think I can surrender, I just don't trust, because trust and surrender are completely different things sometimes. So, okay, well, why don't you trust yourself to be able to surrender into a different process? Taking it little steps, because of course everybody's going to be at a different point in their journey, and I can probably sit and figure all sorts of things out in my own head without saying a word to anybody, but I also know that's not how everybody functions. So it's always finding what works for you to be able to continue to feel like you got your feet on the ground. And if you really don't feel like you got your feet on the ground, don't panic, it's okay, you'll come back. You will come back.
Yeah, well, and even being out in nature, you're realigning and resyncing with the natural rhythms and electromagnetic frequencies of the earth. So grounding, clearing, just syncing up with nature, you're going to feel more relaxed and balanced. And also, like, all of this is why we have our community and we're doing weekly meditations, because you can connect in with us and sink into our energy fields. And this is like what we're constantly doing. And like that's going to help you to reset. Like you don't have to do it alone. Um, we are available for readings, but we also offer a much more affordable way to connect with us and sink in. Not that our readings they're pretty affordable, I think,
Yeah.
but so yeah, you're not alone and it doesn't take much. And we are available. And that's the other thing I wanted to pinpoint or highlight again is like whatever way your process is with trusting or surrendering, like Dayna, again, even our astrology charts, she's very internal. I'm very external. And because I am an external processor, it was so relieving for me to learn that that's part of my makeup and part of my chart, because people love to tell me how wrong I was about that my entire life. They really had a problem with that. And so I just want to say, like, it's not just trust what you're getting, it's trust who you are and your process. Don't make yourself wrong because your process is different than somebody else's. Like, and if you need validation about what your process is or how it is, or if it's okay, or if it's right, or any of that stuff, there are lots of tools that can help you with that so you can have a better understanding of yourself to come into more acceptance and trust and surrender with who you are and how you work as a unique divine sovereign being on this planet, from a soul level. So there's so many ways to help you integrate what's happening and also anchoring in your soul self into this body.
And welcome to the fifth dimension in the new world, because that's exactly what it is. It's just
Sure.
another growth process. Just growth process, just evolution. This time it's just of the mind instead of necessarily of the physical, right? And if people really, I think that's simple terms that I love to use with certain people, especially if you're analytic and more logical, don't really know how this is working. Well, that's what it is. It's an evolutional process of the mind and consciousness rather than just the physical body this time. We've done a lot of the physical body up until this day. We can look back on ourselves and be like, whoa, yeah, we definitely have done a lot there. It's definitely changed up. But it was time. It's time for an upgrade into a different ascension mode, which is the mind. So we're all, I know we're excited. I'm like, I just about said we're all excited, but I'm like, ooh, that's maybe not necessarily true for everybody, but even deep down, I know probably most of you listening do have some kind of underlying excitement. You may not have any idea where it's coming from or what it's for, but a lot of people have this underlying excitement no matter what might be going on with themselves, because that excitement is there for a reason to say this is getting better whether we know it or believe it or not. It's a vibration in itself that a lot of people are picking up on. So have hope and trust yourself, because self-awareness is definitely like step number one, but then of course have the faith and hope and it following excitement, that even if you don't know what it is, because excitement always creates a more fun environment for us to be like, I'm not really sure what I'm excited about, but I'm just like enjoying the excitement. Something's coming, something big and better is coming. And it just makes it easier to move through your processes in whatever way that might look. So
Yeah.
do come and join us in our community if you feel like that is definitely a place you want to come and get some information, have experiences you want to know more about, or maybe something comes up in your body, you're like, I don't know what this is. I just want some understanding. That's what we're doing this for. Is this podcast is just our views and perceptions, yes, but we want to be able to create a space that we can help others, because I know for both of us, it would have been extremely helpful for even us back in the day when we were doing things, or just even trying to explore different options and different perspectives, that is just coming from a very secure, non-judgmental space. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. That's why we always say take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And yeah, I'm happy we did this one though, because this feels like this was a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so good to be back with you guys.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think I was getting antsy there for a little bit. But it just didn't quite line up even for ourselves, that all that energy flying. And I think for us to try and even, bring our own guides in like we normally do these, it was a more difficult task just because it was harder to stay in that space. That's all it was. But yeah, so thank you for joining us on this one. If you want to join the community, every description on all these podcasts have the form link. It has also all the detailed information in there. So you can come and join us if you want.